overnight? The machine that may have saved Pegasus. Nearly 3 weeks on, so why are they still waiting? Plus, the supercharged game that's kicking off in Christchurch. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Gina Grbic. Welcome to Metro News, a local news bulletin prepared by the students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School. As Christchurch moves into the rebuilding phase following the quake, there are still many unanswered questions about liquefaction. One area with sandy soil which escaped damage was the new Pegasus township. As Marcus Irvine found out, this may be due to a high-tech machine brought in from Dubai.
A stone's throw away from Kaiapoi in the fledgling township of Pegasus, you'd be forgiven for thinking the earthquake hadn't happened at all.
There was no damage anywhere. Oh, what's all the fuss about? Until we went into Kaiapoi. Hell.
Former Kaiapoi residents themselves, this couple moved to Pegasus a few months ago.
Extremely lucky that we sold our home in Kaiapoi, just off Courtney Drive, which has been badly devastated. I'm very sorry for the people that bought it.
Despite feeling the quake as strongly as surrounding areas, Pegasus suffered no damage. And experts say this vibro-flotation machine may have something to do with it.
It'll probe down into the sandy soil and you might go 15 to 20 metres deep and you'll inject water and air and vibration and you replace the void that you make with solid sand.
This solid ground is then unable to liquefy in the event of an earthquake.
The ground improvement works were done as a whole, sort of as the first stage of development at Pegasus. The machine ran 24/7 for around about 6 months.
And it came at a cost.
We estimate something in the order of 20 million spent, a combination of the vibro flotation machine and drainage.
But with Kaiapoi a constant reminder, residents are thankful for the work.
For being so close, it's just amazing. The difference.
And while it sounds like the answer to some of Christchurch's rebuilding problems, vibroflotation isn't well suited to established sites like Kaiapoi and Bexley, but for new developments like Pegasus, it may have been their saving grace. Marcus Irvine, Metro News.
It's not just the living that were affected by the quake. One Christchurch cemetery had just spent thousands of dollars restoring their graveyard, only to have their efforts undone by the quake, as Gracie Fee reports.
The gravestones at this historic cemetery suffered a variety of damages, some stranger than others.
I looked more closely and I thought that cross is facing the wrong way. All the rest of them are facing east and it's completely swiveled on its base. And I would have loved to see it happen. It must have been the most amazing sight. But you can see now it's not square on the base, it's not safe. It was just quite one of the strange things that happened during the earthquake.
St Paul's Cemetery suffered damage to more than 800 headstones, and having opened in 1853, tracking the families of the deceased to pay for repairs wouldn't be easy.
I only know 3 of the families that the stones have been affected, so we've lost contact with the rest because the cemetery closed about the year 1900 and you don't necessarily keep contact with all those families for 110 years.
So if not the families, who pays? Will insurance help?
Gravestones are not covered by insurance policies. They're not buildings, so they didn't actually come under any category that fitted. So some things just don't fit into the fine print in insurance policies. And when people are faced with that, it's a bit of a nightmare because these are very expensive things.
Luckily, their prayers were answered when insurers made an exception.
We're very fortunate because our property manager at our diocese for Christchurch has managed to encourage the insurers to give us some cover for this repair work, and we will really need that, otherwise the church would be waiting about 10 years to raise the funds to do it, and we can't have the cemetery unsafe for that long.
And one Christchurch Mason's evaluation suggests the repairs won't come cheap.
Maybe 10,000, maybe more. It's I guess to an extent what we need to do to the stones, whether we're going to sit them back in their original position and to be sure that they are able to withstand further earthquakes if they come across. We build stones or install headstones to last a lifetime, but we don't factor in 7.1 magnitude earthquakes, unfortunately.
And it's taken this shake to prompt St Paul's to restore their headstones not only to last a lifetime, but to also endure any future acts of God. Gracie Fee, Metro News.
The Canterbury Museum appears to have stood up reasonably well during the earthquake, but as Jonathan Mitchell found out, appearances can be misleading.
Nearly 3 weeks on, and for the Canterbury Museum, the ordeal of the quake is far from over, as they work to assess over 2.5 million items for damage.
60 or 70 items have been taken to the lab for evaluation, just to be checked. And now we'll start the very big process behind the scenes in the collection stores.
The collection stores refer to the museum's storage areas where items are held when not on display.
Collections management staff will be going through, checking all the stores, just making sure things haven't moved too much, making sure shelves are secure, and just making sure that all the objects are safe.
Despite all the work ahead of them, the museum staff are both pleased and surprised at how well the museum fared during the quake.
The earthquake strengthening done between 1985 and 1995 on the 19th century buildings has been particularly effective, and they're in tip-top condition. The 1958 building that we're in at the moment has performed very well. It has some of the minor cracking and plasterwork that you see pretty commonly through houses and other buildings, but structurally it's absolutely perfect.
Staff were especially relieved that a collection of items on loan were left unharmed.
Well, we do have the Heart of the Great Alone exhibition, which is on loan from the Royal Collection, and these are photographs taken by Frank Hurley and Herbert Ponting, first time that they've travelled out of the UK, so we were obviously really hoping that they had stood up to the earthquake, and they have, which is fantastic.
So while the initial outlook for this Canterbury landmark is good, it will take several months of full inspections before the museum can claim to be out of the woods completely. Jonathan Mitchell, Metro News.
Coming up after the break, the iPhone application that could help 500,000 people, and why these residents are feeling left out in the cold.